All right. Hello and welcome to this episode. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Matt Cotty, and I help people break free from OCD and anxiety. And I'm also the founder of Restored Minds. On this episode today, I want to share a story of the three blind men and an elephant. Now, this story takes on various, different. Kind of details, as you read different versions of it. But we'll talk about three blind men specifically today, and some it's a whole group of blind men. Doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to attempt anyway to bridge this into our OCD and anxiety recovery, right? And kind of talk about this idea of subjective versus objective truth. Without further ado, let's dive in. And before we do, actually, real quick, if you could really help me and the show out by liking and subscribing, as well as leaving a comment or review on iTunes, a nice review. It helps the algorithm of the show, and it helps us get this information out to more people. And our hope is that this can reach people who are struggling, so that they can get the help that they need. So, with your help, we can accomplish that, and that would be a great way for you to support us. Thank you. So let's go ahead and dive in. The story goes something to the effect of there's this group of blind men, and in this case we'll use three, and they've never encountered an elephant before, and they're assigned the task of you know essentially kind of herding the animal and going to explore what it's like. So the first guy grabs the elephant by the trunk, and he's feeling the elephant, because all he has is this sense of feel to work with. So he grabs the elephant by the trunk, and he describes the elephant as it's kind of this long snake, this long big snake. And the next guy goes and touches the elephant like right in the center of its side, and is like, hey, this is like a wall here, right? It's like, and he's just like this huge wall that I'm pushing against. And the other guy grabs a leg and is like, this is like a big tree trunk. Okay. And they start, and in the parable, in some cases, they start to argue and fight with each other about, like, you're lying, you're not telling the truth. And I know what the truth is. This is what it's like. And they begin to fight each other. And the parable is meant to talk about and kind of bring to light the idea of subjective and objective truth. Now, all these men telling the truth, yes, right, in their subjective experience. But what is the objective truth? Well, it's an elephant, right? All those parts are actually true, but it encompasses one whole thing, right? So depending on where you actually touch the elephant, you're going to get just completely different experience. And so, what does this have to do with OCD and anxiety? Well, a lot of times when we're looking, when we're experiencing this stuff, we're operating from a very subjective point of view, meaning we're having, whether it's these feelings in our body, right? And this is, it's more about how you identify the problem. Because for most of the time, when people are first especially reaching out to me, whether they've completed an application for the TBC program, or just commenting or sending me an email, first time I'm speaking with someone, generally how people describe the issue that they're experiencing is usually one of two things, right? I'm having a whole bunch of racing thoughts, and I'm having racing intrusive thoughts, right? And even then they might even get really specific. I'm having racing intrusive thoughts about a specific theme, could be germs, could be harm thoughts, could be sexual thoughts, could be religious, or moral, ethical thoughts, could be driving, could be, emotional contamination. You get the picture, right? There's a million different themes that someone could be locked onto. And this racing thought is how they subjectively identify the issue. Okay. Or other people might have more feeling base in the body, right? Meaning they may say, hey, like, I'm having a racing heart, right? I'm sweating all the time. right? I'm having tension headaches. I'm having TMJ in my jaw. I'm having, panic attacks where I just get these surges of energy in my body. I'm having, like my eyes twitching, right? Here's the thing. All these things are subjectively true, right? So, so to say that the person's not identifying, and I've made this mistake transparently. I've made the mistake of trying to tell people, hey, like, you're not identifying the issue correctly. It's like, well, that's actually not true. They are. They're identifying their subjective experience about that issue at hand. What they're not seeing is the entire issue. Okay. And that, which is this idea of the loop, right? Which is the idea of the nervous system, which is the idea of the whole human body, which is the idea of energy and emotions, which is the idea of the, rewiring and neuroplasticity and brain circuitry, in conditioning and like all this stuff, right? That really kind of cross and intersect to formulate what we would call different disorders of the psychological stress, variation, whether it's general anxiety, social anxiety, phobias, OCD, panic attacks, PTSD, even things like derealization, depersonalization, right? That whole spectrum of experience. These experiences are very subjective, but there's this bigger picture at hand that often eludes people. And because of that, they defend. This is where most people, I think, get stuck in their recovery, is they defend trying to solve the problem as they see it, as they subjectively see it. And that's the same way as the guy who grabbed the elephant's leg is like, no, the elephant's like a tree, right? I felt it. It's like, yes, you did. It's true. But there's a bigger picture that eludes them. And to righteously defend that and say, this is the truth, this is the only truth, and this is what it is, you see how that's gonna create a pretty significant issue, because he's gonna just defend that. And recognizing that two things can be true at once is part of it, right? Like that's, I think, the first step is like, there's two truths here. Yeah, that's your experience. Totally, right? Whatever you're experiencing is your experience. Okay. And how you understand this problem, though, again, is going to determine what you do, which is going to determine the results you get. So if you're not getting results, especially results that you want, then the question needs to be, okay, do I actually understand this problem objectively? Do I see the big picture here? If you're able to step back and ask that question, you can start to see areas of this that maybe you haven't been looking at, right? Like, imagine if we actually had all the blind men go around the elephant and like touch the leg, okay, and like go around the whole thing. It's like they would have they would probably come to a much similar understanding of what they're all experiencing, and which would prevent a lot of conflict. In the same right, when it comes to OCD and anxiety, if you understand the problem as the content of the thoughts that you're experiencing, so like a driving, a harm, sex or religion or contamination, right? I mean, panic attacks, fear of panic attacks, all that stuff. If you understand that my mind is saying these specific thoughts, and that's what the issue I have is, you're coming at it from a very, very subjective, your personal experience. And it's not that you're not experiencing that, but you're failing to see the bigger picture. Same thing physiologically. Hey, I have these, my heart beats really fast. Hey, I sweat a lot. Hey, I get, these tension in my neck and all that stuff. Yes, that is your subjective experience. And I'm not like denying that. And you shouldn't deny it either, right? But understanding that it's just one little piece of the big puzzle that we're looking at. And even not even the puzzle, the big picture, I should say. And when you start to look at this from a more, higher out, like 30,000 foot view, you start to understand it differently. And what I mean by that is you start to say, okay, look, there's these thoughts, there's these feelings in the body, and then there's all these behaviors that the person's doing that's keeping this loop going, right? The faster the loop goes, the more intense the energy becomes, right? And then you start looking at, what happens when you keep emotions in the nervous system. Although there's dysregulation that happens, right? There's dis-ease, dare I say. And so our ability to, not only know what to do with the thoughts and what to do with the feelings and how to, appropriately feel and navigate feelings in our body, and then making sure we're doing no behaviors that are keeping that loop going, that tends to, if you're able to break the loop, you tend to dissolve what you perceive to be the issue and have a much better understanding of the issue at hand. So that's the difference between a subjective and objective truth. You may actually be experiencing these things, but the objective reality is there's psychological stress and there's these loops that create, right? And with this comes certain, again, like that fear energy in the body manifests in different ways for people. And if you're trying to solve the way that it manifested for you, as opposed to like the root of what's going on, you're going to struggle on this journey. In fact, I'm going to argue that probably not going to get great results. And I speak to that from personal experience, because that's how I tried to solve, my own journey on this for many years. And this is why understanding that there may be a larger objective truth that is evading you right now, or that you're not seeing. If you can step into that possibility, it will open you up to different possibilities and different strategies. And then hopefully, which I believe will obviously produce better results for you. So hope this was helpful today. And I felt like this analogy could, be something just to kind of anchor into. There's always the stories that really help like anchor into ideas. So anyways, with that, all that said, would really appreciate your support by liking and subscribing as always. If you're looking for resources for help, please check out the links down in the notes. We have a free guide as well as a 2-day workshop that we put together. And if you're interested in our 12-week program where we offer group coaching or individual coaching, you can check that out at restoredminds.com/apply, where you can fill out an application. My team and I will review it and get back to you. And then we'll, kind of set you on what we believe the best path would be for you. So hope you guys have a great day. And with that, all that said, wish you the best, and I'll see you on the next episode.